I am your host, Eric Novak, and today we have a special guest. He is one half of God. He is Tama Tonga.
Hey, what's up, guys? Eric, thank you for having me.
Of course, man, I'm so excited to have the good bad guy here on the podcast. I'm really excited.
Cool, man. Very cool.
All right, so let's start. Let's start with the typical question. It's what made you want to become a pro wrestler?
I grew up in it. I was surrounded by it growing up as a kid, and I saw it every day. So I think that just subconsciously, no matter what else I try to do, I always knew I could always fall back on this, and I fell back on it.
Was it always going to be you and your brother? Was that always like the main goal that you guys were going to do this together?
Yeah. We were gonna do it together, start, and then from there see what happens. But we kind of always leaned on each other for support on whether it's wrestling or sports, any kind of team sports. Our parents always put us together, so we always start off together and then we split and do our own thing.
All right, yeah, because we will talk about splitting up and doing your own things because you've done a lot as a singles competitor too, and recently, so we're gonna talk about that. So let's talk about your first match. How was that like? Because right now everyone sees you as the skilled, amazing competitor, but how was it when you first were starting out?
Nerve-wracking, man. I was nervous as hell, man. My first match, thank goodness we had guys that could work to go against. It was a tag match. It was my brother and I. We wrestled for WXW, not the one in Germany, but the Wild Samoans one located in Central Florida. And it was nerve-wracking, but the guys that we went against took care of us.
That's great. When you started wrestling, when you started, trying out these new things, were they really open to tag team wrestling at the time, or was that something they had to push?
Yeah, of course. I've never had any problems or any kind of difficulty with people wanting tag team wrestling. I always felt that was always needed. I think singles competitor is great, but you need a change of pace. In tag team wrestling, I mean, who doesn't want to see tag team wrestling, right? You grew up watching tag. You thought tag team wrestling was cool, especially with your buddies. You always wrestle with your buddies, right?
Yeah.
And so I always thought that was always the easy route to go to come into.
Yeah, I feel like that must have gave you guys like a separation from all the other people, because since you guys are brothers, since you guys have that same chemistry level that no one else has, and with siblings, it must have gave you guys that special. I don't want to say bond, but that credibility, oh, these guys are great because of that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let's talk about you wrestling in the States. Talk about you coming in. How was that like? How was that shift and how was the change?
So when we started off, we started here in the States, but it was all independent work. Going to Japan and really coming up the dojo, their developmental system, and getting used to their style. Coming back to the States, it was kind of strange at first, but it was easy to adapt to. The biggest difference I saw really was just how the fans, because in Japan, the fans are real quiet. They don't say much, but in America, they're rowdy as hell, man. Cowboys out here. But that's the biggest difference. Other than that, wrestling-wise, I think we got New Japan got their own style, America got its own style, and but they're easy to kind of adapt to. I believe.
All right, how was that adjusting to Japan life? The culture and just how different it is from here.
It was actually really pretty easy for me. I'm Tongan, so our culture, there's a lot of similarities in our Tongan culture and the Japanese culture out there in the Pacific, so there was that. And also, I had served time in the United States Air Force, and the structure there really, there's a lot of similarity in the military force structure with the cultures of the Tongan culture and the Japanese culture. So there was a lot of, I think that path that I had through my my own culture and through the military really kind of prepared me to be in Japan and run it smoothly, sort of, when I'm not in trouble.
Well, I had no idea you were part of the military. I mean, I believe I saw a photo a while back you posted, and
Hmm.
I had no idea. So wait, what made you decide to join the military? I mean, it's a great thing. So, but what made you decide
Yeah,
to do it?
I couldn't, I was a real jock in high school. I grew up playing sports, and I thought I could only lean in on just my athleticism and not on my grades. So came to the end of high school, I couldn't get a scholarship anywhere. So I was like, all right, well, I'm definitely not going to stay here, stay at home, have my mom yell at me 24/7. And so I need to get out of here. So I'd rather a drill instructor yell at me 24/7 than my mom. So I figured the military, they covered, they paid for my school. They paid for my lodging. It was a really great start for me coming out of high school.
Hmm. And
So
what made you decide to, invest in pro wrestling after that? Like you said, it was in your family, it was in your blood. But
yeah,
what was like the goal? What was your goal at that point in your life?
well, I I just knew I didn't want to be in the military anymore.
That's fine.
I didn't want to do a retirement. I wanted more than what the military could offer me. So while I was actually, my brother was in college. He was playing D1 for the University of UTEP football. So I think we were 3 years in. I was 3 years in the military. He was 3 years in college. And he called me one night and he was like, hey, let's go into wrestling after we're done. And I was like, man, we still got 3 more years left. At least I had 3 more years in the military left. He had like one, and then he was going to do grad school. So
Hmm.
I said, yeah, man, all right, let's do it. And I think that's more like, I just didn't have, I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't know what I wanted to be really. I didn't want to be no truck driver. I didn't want to be no nurse, no, lawyer. I had no ambition to be anything really. I just wanted to be out of the military. And I think wrestling, this stardom thought in my mind at, being a star on television was, we all grew up with that, right? We watch television 24/7. So you always want to, me, I grew up with that wrestling. So I just wanted to be, like the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, have that spotlight. So I was like, yeah, I don't have anything else in my mind to be. So let's do it.
All right. I mean, that's completely understandable, and you can't look back at not like wanting to finish or continue something. You did it, and that's something most people could say that can't say. Most people can't say that. So let's talk about you leaving. Let's talk about you getting back in the wrestling field. How is that like now after leaving and trying to figure out how wrestling works again? Like, because you took time off.
Uh, what do you mean? Time off from
So you, le-
which period?
so you left the military, right? That's when
Yeah, yeah, okay.
your brother
Yeah.
was doing football.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't know anything about wrestling. I
Okay.
just knew what was on the TV. My dad kayfabed the hell out of us. So, for all I knew, a punch was real. I mean, it wasn't a work. So, chair shots is still real. So that's how much my dad loved the business and protected the business. And so when I came out of the military and started wrestling, it was just a whole new world. Like I found out quickly and fast the grit of it, how much work it takes, how much dedication was needed, and it was a grind, man. And it's not like football or like pro sports where you have an avenue when you're a kid to kind of like you do this and then you do that, and then when you get to middle school and then when you go to high school you play this, college you get you have this set path. Wrestling, man, there's no set path. You're trying, you're trying anything and everything. Any opportunity you can, you jump in, and you don't know if that's going to be the one or not. It's most time it's not, but you just keep trying. So I didn't know shit about wrestling, to be honest, until I started there in, was it 2008?
Wow, that's really funny actually. That your dad wouldn't tell you about like the secrets behind wrestling. But that actually makes me want to ask you now, what do you think of kayfabe now? What do you think of that, idea, like giving the fans the other perspective, like, oh, this is real and this, isn't, or punches are hell, punches aren't. How do you feel about that now in today's age?
Um, I don't know, to be honest, because I'm half and half. I think kayfabe can be good, and at the same time, I like to treat people like they're not idiots. So it's like movies, right? And acting. It's not what you're watching is not real, and for those that want to go beyond the television and behind the screen to learn, like that's what those Comic Cons for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you watch Marvel Comic Cons, you go and you talk to the actors, and it's just you're explaining your trade, your job to a point too. And I think if you're not kayfabing it, maybe we could get more people to have an appreciation for the art of wrestling, just like the art of acting, and and then again, kayfabe can be great because it's the mystery, it's the darkness behind closed curtains, and you don't know, and it's and that can be a rush too. So there's like this give and take, because I think kayfabe in America is dead, but in Japan it's still full on alive, and I appreciate it. So I live in a world where one is alive and one is dead, and I see the benefit of both. So how do you distinguish what's best?
That's exactly what I assumed you would say, because you're 100% right on that. New Japan, that is 100% real. The fans don't ask questions or want to know, what's not. And here here we know everything about everything because they're just out there. But you brought up your dad, and if you asked your dad that question, like what do you think of it? What do you think he would say based on his time and era, based on the guys that he that they would hurt someone for calling out kayfabe? In my opinion, would they not at that point in time?
I think he's like but back then it was pride. It was a pride in where you work, and so and protecting it, creating that real illusion means money, and when you gave up that secret, you're giving up money.
Mm-hmm.
And guys depend on that to put food on the table for their family. So my dad is real old school and like that kind of structure, like the man puts food on the table. You don't mess with somebody's like money, that's messing with their family. So I think then he was younger and was like real narrow minded, like just saw straight, and now I think he's older, he's more laid back. He'd be like, fuck it.
Which side do you agree with more? Now we're asking like your opinion on it. Like, what side do you agree with more now?
I like to come down the middle and kind of like figure out what should be kayfabe and what shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of I think there should be a level there that should be a surprise, and then the level for those that want to go beyond, to check it out. Of course, it will cost way more money but that's what it is. That's the secret,
Mm-hmm.
Like you're coming in for the secret sauce. You're gonna pay for the secret sauce,
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, I appreciate you talking about that topic. So now let's talk about your journey in wrestling. You started doing it. You started training. You had your matches. What was like the first big break for you in your career, if you had to remember? Don't act that old. Don't act.
Yeah, no, I think my first big break was just my brother came and we started the tag team, the Gorillas of Destiny, and I think that's where things just kind of started to open up for me. A lot of guys had left Japan, and there was a lot of openings, and I could have went the single route, or or do what I did, go to the tag team route, which which I did, and I think that's where my first big break came as a tag team wrestler. So there was one particular match where I think we kind of turned heads, and I've told it a couple of times because I think it's one of my favorite matches. It was my brother and I versus Ishii and Yoshihashi at in Osaka. It was a pay-per-view. I think it was like Power Struggle, like 2016, 17. And we just killed it, man. And like working with those guys, Ishii's a mastermind behind a lot of his matches. He's a great wrestler. And, my brother and I were just beginning as a tag team. And I think we just rocked the house, and I think we had like the match of the night. And that's when I really felt like we're on to something. We're turning a corner here somewhere.
That's awesome and really interesting. I didn't even know that was the big break match. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you talked about going to Japan. How did that process go through? How
now, I'm gonna step back. Now that's my tag team.
Mm-hmm.
If we're gonna go, if you're saying big break singles, I would say against Okada this year.
We're definitely going to talk about that. But let's get to, because that's like the process that I'm very interested to know. Not how you, like, not so specifically because that's your story, but how did you decide I want to go to Japan? That's where after the Indies, like before wrestling or trying to sign to any of these. Well, at that time, I don't even know if there were that many independent promotions that were like doing shows. So I don't think there were. All right, so you tell the story. I'm dragging on.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a lot. My brother and I, we tried out for WWE in 2018, and only my brother got picked up.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother went on to WWE, and I was just kind of like doing indies, sort of. And then in 2010, I went to Puerto Rico, and I did the indies out there. And then my pop hit me up and said that New Japan is interested, but I was only going in just for training and just like kind of like a fill-in guy, whatever they needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in and started as trainer. I was real green, and I could tell that right away. And so I worked for 3 months, and I was supposed to come back and then try to go into WWE with my brother. And after that third month, they I guess I was doing a good job being a fill-in guy, and they asked me to stay another 3 months. And I said, all right. So I stayed another 3 months. And when that 3 months ended, they asked me to stay another 3 months. And then it just kind of after another 3 months, they're like, do you want to stay 6? And I was like, and I just felt like I was getting further and further away from coming back to America and trying to get with my brother. And my brother's already like, he was in FCW, and he was kind of like moving up already. So I felt like, oh, shoot. And then they just kept asking me to stay, and I just kept saying yes. And there was a point there, I think my brother was tag teaming with Hunico, and they were like, he was Camacho. And I think that's when I just kind of was like, all right, I need to focus on what I'm doing in Japan and just make sure that everything's right here and not worry about, grass on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so next thing I know, they asked me to stay a year, and then I did that for like another 2-3 years, and then they asked me to stay for 2, and then for 5. So it's really just been a gradual, like everything has just been. I started at the bottom and just kind of worked, and then and they just kept bringing me. I guess they liked me.
Yeah, it was meant to be. So I want to talk about another thing because I had no idea you did a tryout for WWE. I had no idea that happened. Obviously, that's a very terrible feeling when you want to be happy for your brother, but then at the same time, you got to be like, what's going on in my life? So where were you at that point in time? Like mentally, like because that does bring a toll in you when you give up a lot for something and this happens. So where were you mentally after that?
I had tried out twice. So the first time we tried out, he got picked out right away.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me I was too small. So I said, all right. So for 6 months, I just ate everything, and I worked out hard, and I just I got big, but it wasn't a good big. And And so I went back. Again and tried out. And they just said, I'm just not what they're looking for. And I said, all right. So that right there, because that's like the NFL wrestling. You're like, damn, if I can't even make it up now. And then I was 20, probably 27. So it's in your mind, you're like, do I just, is this it? Is it over? Am I done? And we didn't know. I didn't know what to do after that. So my pop was like, just do the indies. Keep plugging away. So I like you said before, there wasn't a lot of indies. So I was doing these like rinky-dink shows for like next to nothing, and for 2 years. And I think you're like, am I doing the right thing? Am I holding on to like a dream that is just a dream, And so I think I was at my last leg. I was just about to like, I had left my job and I was trying to like kind of like figure out which way am I going in my career now, because I thought wrestling was over, because there was just no way. I had hurt my knee in one of the indie shows and like I broke my hand, and I'm like, man, it was like one thing after another. And out of the blue, this guy named Ricky Santana got me booked out in Puerto Rico. And he said, you're going to have to go out there and stay for a few months. The pay is when they pay you, if they pay you, but it's an experience you get. And I said, all right. I mean, I ain't got nothing going on. It was 2009, 2010. So, America was already coming out of this like big financial crisis, depression. So like a lot of things was just shit. So I went out to Puerto Rico and stayed out there, and it was kind of awesome because we had this like shitty ass room next to the beach, but it was next to the beach, man. So and I worked out there in Puerto Rico with my roommate was actually Damien Sandow. so we bonded, man, and yeah. He was another cat who came from WWE, and he was trying to figure out what he was doing. And anyways, while I was there for like 3 or 4 months, and I got the call, hey, Japan is wants to try you out for 3 months. And I said, okay. So that, I think I was at my last. Mentally, I was done, but I was just like, I was barely hanging on. And then that came through, Puerto Rico, and then Japan. So. I hang on, I guess. Just if I could tell anybody, just hang on. You just never know, man. Never give up. I guess.
You saw good and you saw like good things in a bad situation type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the best way to look at things. So, all right. So we're following the line. So you're in Japan. You did the 3 months plus 3 months plus 6 months plus 9 months. When was it that you were finally like on TV or in their mind, just on their cards already? Like when did you find out that this is like starting to become a fit, like starting to be the place that you're staying at?
I never, like, I had gotten there in 2010 and I was already on their TV and stuff. But like I was just like, I was jobbing for everybody, and that was my job, was just to put people over. And so I don't know. I kind of just was like, when am I going to get paid? That was my mindset, I wasn't looking towards being on TV. I wasn't looking towards. I was just trying to put some money in my damn pocket because I was so broke. So, man, I didn't really become part of their roster until. The beginning was 2011, the end of 2011 into 2012 is when they inserted me into their young boy system, their developmental system, because I came in green and they knew that, but I was just a filler. I was just like jobbing for people, and so I'm real like expendable, And so I had done something. I had done something at the end of 2011. I was actually on my last tour, and they were gonna send me home. I was done, and so I had done something. I did a dive on this. I did a dive, and the guy missed me, or I overshot the guy, and I spiked the ground, the cement, and I hit here, and it knocked me out, and I dislocated my right shoulder. And the next thing I knew, I wake up, and they're counting. Uno, the referee, was counting, and I'm like, all I hear is ringing. So like, so I get up and I make it back to the ring, and the whole arena's silent, and I'm like, the wrestlers are just looking at me like, holy shit. So we get in, and it was at the beginning of the match. It was like within the first 3 minutes of the match, and I had to take the heat. So I go in, we change. I take the heat, and then. And then I took and then finally after the heat, Goto, I was tagged with Goto. Goto finished the match for us, but they couldn't call the match because it was Goto's big return from Mexico, and so it was like supposed to highlight him. So, anyways, I think that kind of that got me the job. That I was able to finish the match, and so when I came to the back, the boss was just like, you go home, heal up, and then you come back. And when I came back, I was put into the developmental system. So then I think that's when I first became part of their New Japan, really.
And what was next from that point on? From that point, in the developmental system, you did the Young Lion stuff.
Yeah, I did the Young Lion stuff, and then I wasn't sent on no excursion like a regular young boy because I had already done really an excursion before I came in. I was already doing. So they just had me working with everybody wherever they needed me. So that was more of my experience, was just, I was a baby face. So I was doing a job there. And then in 2013, when we created Bullet Club, that's where they stuck us with the foreigners. They put all the foreigners together. And then I became kind of like the utility guy in there. I became what I did as a bayface, I did as a heel to put, to help our top guys. So, and then from there, just kept graduating, man. I think that's the best way to say it, is just kept graduating to the next level, as time went on, and then the tag team, and then we're at G1 now.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Now that you joined the Bullet Club, you did all that. You were with Devitt and Bad Luck Fale and a bunch of other guys in the first generation. How was that like now to say that I was part of Bullet Club when it first came to be? Because at one point you were the new guy, and now this major faction that's all over the U.S. that was followed from New Japan, started in New Japan. How has that been that you could say you were part of that first ever unit?
It's awesome. It's awesome to have that kind of influence, that impact in the wrestling world. And to this day, still have that. So, yeah, it's great because who can say that they've done something like that, right?
And, for a long time you're doing singles run. And the greatest thing about New Japan is you're not really a singles competitor because there's so many tag matches they put you in as well. So you learn both at the same time. When did it hit that your brother joined as well? When did at that point happen? They're like, we want you guys to be a tag team. And then you started doing tag team for Bullet Club.
When he came in 2016, when we had like a massive foreigner exodus. It wasn't even a foreigner exodus. It was like, there's a lot of foreigners, and then there was Shinsuke Nakamura. They all left the WWE. AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, a lot of guys, a lot of our like solid pillars, top stars left, and so we needed a lot of holes to fill, and they're like, all right, we need tag team, and they knew my brother's a wrestler, and they put us together to be the tag team of New Japan.
What did you feel when they trusted you to have that like priority? Like, cause again, like they gave you guys, you were singles for like a long time. They're like, oh, let's put you guys in a tag team. Let's do that. That must have showed that they had a lot of hope that you guys can do it, just like in the indies.
Yeah, yeah. No, I felt great because that's just them showing their trust in you, in me, and what I can do for them. So, and my brother wasn't part of New Japan, so he was in Impact at the time, and or TNA, and his contract just happened to run out at the same time, and it was perfect. It was like it was meant to be. Everything was aligned.
Was that what you were hoping for when his contract expired and all that? Were you hoping for like, hey, come over here, let's try to create this idea that we had?
Yeah, because that was always the goal, for us to run as a tag team, and to see see what we can do. And I think we've done that and accomplished a lot.
All right, and last, before we get to like all the new stuff that's going on, when all the call-ups are happening with AJ, Devitt, did you have any contract? Because again, when you're at that point in your career, a lot of companies are getting to you. Were you battling, deciding on what were you gonna do at that point in your career before your brother joined, before any of that?
Yeah, I actually had committed to WWE with AJ and Gallows and all them. I committed also. So the one thing I had to do was go back to Japan and do one last tour. And so when I went back to Japan to finish my tour, I told him I was leaving. That's where the offer of, what if we bring your brother and you guys are going to be tag team here? And I said, okay, let's do that. So I had to turn down my other contract with WWE, or my confirmation with WWE, I guess.
But that's again, like I had no idea, and that's such an amazing and inspiring, and just shows what kind of guy you are. To be at that point to people was one of the big major companies, and the fact that you go, oh, you bring my brother in, then forget that. This is the dream, not that. So it's amazing that like you grew as a person throughout time, because at the point you want to be in WWE for so long, you started eating more, and that changed your figure to the point where it's like, I'm finally gonna get what I want, but it's not worth it if my brother isn't there, right? That's really awesome.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about what's going on. Throughout this year, last year, you guys won the World Tag League. How was that like? Let's talk about that first. Being in a
it was great. It was awesome. We've all this time we've been tagging, we've been champions 7 times, and we've never won the tag league, and we never wrestled at Wrestle Kingdom. So we were always up there, almost, it's like never breaking through, and to finally hit that on last year, World Tag League, and then into Wrestle Kingdom and win it was finally we did it. We finally got that as a tag team. We can put that on the mantle. So it was awesome. It's a great feeling. We did it, bro. All right.
At that point, were you just like, all right, now I think I can go to singles, since we legit did everything? Like, I'm sure it wasn't. Yeah. So so when you finish everything, when that happened, how did New Japan tell you this? Like, oh, by the way, we're finally gonna give you guys, this opportunity to be in the final, or just to be in the World Tag League again and fight for it, and fight for your spot to win it?
You mean when we won it?
No, like when you joined, when you were part of the World Tag League the last years, and they told you, hey, you can be part of it. What was going through your head at that time? Because that is one of the I'm gonna go try. That was one of the hardest things. I respect New Japan and their stars just because of that, the G1, because no wrestler does that in any other company, where they can wrestle that many days in that short time to have 5-star matches.
Yeah, to be honest, it was just more of, with the tag league, it was just more of showing what we could do. Like, we had been together for so long now, and we've accomplished so much. We wanted to prove why we were that good, and we had a lot of new tag teams in there, and older ones that came back, and we wanted to show that we can work around anybody, and not just like selfishly take it upon ourselves, but like really make everybody look great, and give a great match, product. And so that was more of the goal. That was more the mindset from August all the way to December, from the G1 all the way to World Tag League, was just at a time right now when, with the COVID situation, there's a lot of like things blocking fans actually wrestling from happening from actually being what it should be. The height, the fans cheering, is a lot of that is gone. So we wanted to produce a real, a great product, and so that was the mindset: singles competition and tag league competition.
All right, and what gets you through it? That's also something that I'm very much curious in, because, like I said, that's like the biggest test of strength ever. Especially, like there's singles action when you just depend on yourself, but when you depend on someone else in a match, I think that's a very big mental mindset, like a very triumphant mindset. So how is that like going through your head, wrestling tag team matches almost every day?
Uh, I've been doing it for so long that I kind of just, I don't think about it till that day, till that match, and it just helps me. I got other, I get up, I go work out early in the morning. I have a routine, and so like I think once you get yourself in a routine, you don't think about other things, till it's that moment, it's that time. And I really like wrestling, so it's not work. I have a lot of fun when I get in there, and sometimes a little too much fun. And I think that's where a lot of people can see I goof around or curse a lot. So it's just me really enjoying what I do. So I don't have it in me to where it's like I gotta wrestle today. It's not that for me. It's not that, because I'm a very physical person. I exercise. I grew, very athletic since growing up, sports and everything. So this is what I've always wanted to do, was this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
Physical work.
we can definitely see it. Look at you. You got even bigger than you were. Like I'm still shocked at that. That's insane. Because you were already a pretty big heavyweight, and just to move up in the G1 and be as big as you are now, we'll talk about that too. So before we talk about everything that's happening this year, I do want to just one thing, and it's your choice if you want to talk about this. I don't want to spring something out on you. This obviously was a big deal. I was a big wrestling fan at the time. New Japan did a lot for a lot of wrestlers. The Elite were there at one point, started their own company. That obviously hurt New Japan greatly in the sense where it's like maybe things weren't told. You were loyal to Bullet Club since day one. That shows, you introducing new members like the new Bone Soldier, Ishimori, and all that. Was there ever any offer to you or to any other members of Bullet Club saying, "Hey, come with us on this, idea of building a new company"?
Yeah, I think there were some other guys, not me. I didn't get any offer, but I think some other guys have gotten it, but not me. And I'm happy where I'm at. So.
Oh yeah. How do you feel about that though? How do you feel about, because this is a different question. How do you feel about people like, again, they're in a company that you're a part of, they're part of your faction, you work with these guys.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the way they did? If you choose to answer this, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
want to. Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with it. No, I don't have any like ill will or any kind of like animosity towards what they did. I think I always respect the hustle.
Mm-hmm.
I respect the work that's put in, and I have a lot of respect for them for what they did and still doing. That's that's always, and I don't. It's now when they were in Bullet Club doing their thing. Now sometimes I think with any coworkers, people like to do one way, you like to do another way, and sometimes you clash, but you overcome it and then just move forward. I think that's anybody. But I think a lot of people confuse what I do on social media as real. my antics, my my shit talking, my and that's what I love about all this social media, this platform, this Twitter, uh, Instagram, Facebook, even podcast, because you're displaying, no matter what you're on, you're displaying a character, right? And so sometimes you have to, as a fan, you're like, all right, is he being a character or is he being real? Which one is it? And I think some of my antics have really taken some people thinking that I've got some kind of way with somebody, thinking some kind of ill will or something towards somebody, and it's never that. It's never that. I think I always wish the best for everybody.
No, yeah, and I had that wasn't at all an idea that I had that you would have some ill will. It's just, you're wrestling kind of company, you build friendships, you build bonds, and, then, usually things come together. And again, a lot of things just won't be said at the right time, and over time, things are like more announced. But I wasn't trying to get you to say anything bad or anything like that at all.
Oh, no, I understand. I think I was just saying more in general for whoever's listening, because if I always have to put myself in that position. Like if I went off and I started my own wrestling company, which I wouldn't want anybody to get pissed off at me because I went and started my own. It's my deal, It's my goddamn life.
The hustle, like you said before, the hustle.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this year. There's so much to impact. G1, Okada. Then we got to talk about how you worked yourself up to be so big that you are now. There's a lot. All your hairstyles. We got to talk about We got to talk about what's going on. But the main thing that I really want to know, because it's not there, but it is there, and that's the Good Brothers. What's going on with that situation? We saw you on Resurgence. We saw you and your brother come out. What's going on with what's the rivalry that's happening over here, slowly but surely?
Slowly but surely is right. That's it. Slowly but surely, they're gonna get that ass beat.
Are you? So I'm trying to try getting more out of you. Again, are you ever planning to? Is there any idea that you might go to them because they're obviously scared to go to you?
Slowly but surely.
All right, I think that's all I'm gonna get out of you for that. But okay, all right. I'm excited to see it. You know everyone is too. But yeah, all right. So now let's talk about first thing is how you built yourself up to shape the way you are now. What were you doing throughout the time to get even bigger and just to now take off the vest when you wrestle? So now to be free with your body. How was that like? What did you do?
Early morning, 2-a-day training. So in the morning I'll be lifting, and then in the evening I go running or some kind of like cardio. So anything to get my, to put on size and keep my without losing cardio. That's pretty much it, man. I applied everything that I learned playing sports growing up, and I just did that. I go lift, and I do more like, do plyometrics. Eat. Just
what's
keep
your diet?
eating.
What's your diet like? What's the diet that you're on? What do you eat? Give us the secrets. Give us the secrets.
All right. So morning time I have like 3 or 4 eggs with, if anything, I'll add, more egg whites to that. And I have half a cup of oatmeal. And then I go work out. And during my workout, I'm drinking a protein drink, closer towards, finish of my workout. And then I come back and I eat anything with carbs after a workout. So it could range. So it could go from potatoes to broccoli, and if we had pizza the night before, then it'll be pizza slices, and then constantly just having protein drinks or some kind of like high protein food in between throughout the day. Nighttime, I kind of just stick to non-carb food, so I'll eat like chicken, steak, your meats, but with no carbs. I'll eat it with vegetables, and then that's it, really. Except I'll make myself a casein. It's a casein protein drink, and I'll leave it by my bed. And at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and drink that, and then go back to sleep.
Wow. All right. That's very interesting. Okay. I didn't think it was gonna be that much. Man, you really put your body through the work. I mean, listen, that's what it gets to have a body like that. So let's talk about the G1 now, because that's a very big deal. You made waves in the G1. You made headlines. How is it like when you find out you're gonna be part of the G1 again?
Good, great. It's good to have that competition again. Where everything is decided on you and the other guy, not four guys. So I like that competition. I like putting myself, where I'm puffing and puffing, I'm tired, and I'm like, and I gotta push it past the other guy, and that's coming out of like was it 2 or 3 year hiatus. I feel a lot more mature than I had when I had treated the G1 before. So there was a lot of maturing growing up in these last couple of years. So maybe, my approaches and my perspective or, perception of it is different.
Okay, all right, I understand that. So there were so many matches, dream matches, obviously, that you probably want to get in the ring with. Okada obviously was probably the biggest match of your career in that G1, or maybe even in general for singles. What match were you most excited for? If maybe it was Okada, but was it anything else?
It was Okada. I called it at the very beginning when I did an interview for New Japan. They asked that same question. I said Okada. I wasn't looking at, I didn't have Naito or Shingo or anybody else. I didn't have Will Ospreay, Jay White, nobody. Okada is the mountain of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He is the golden boy. And he's the one guy in my career here in New Japan, I watched him come in from his excursion and accelerate. And so to watch that is like, and then see him keep it up there, that's the mountain to climb. That's the one, no matter, even if he's not the champion, you test yourself with that guy because he's done it. He's done it with multiple people. And, so he's the one.
All right, so let's talk about that match now. Tell me what because I know this only hits you after the match. What was going through your head in that match? What were you feeling? And then the ending, like a lot of things lined up for your way at that point.
Attack. That was the only thing that kept repeating in my head was attack. And I didn't let anything else, like nervousness. Every time I felt some kind of nervousness creep in, all I heard was attack. And that's where I kept it, was just trying to, keep a pace and just keep going. And that ending was, was intense.
Did you doubt yourself at any point? I know, like, you, a type of person, never doubt yourself in matches, but with this kind of match, something being this big, did you ever have a chance of doubting yourself? And then when, at the end of it, realize that you are the best shape at point of your life than you ever been?
It tries to creep its head in, any kind of doubt. I think that's with any kind of athlete. And if they tell you otherwise, maybe they're lying. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they are. Because there's this, sometimes they try to creep in the doubt, and then you attack, And so you're, as a competitive athlete, you already preset what you're going to do if that feeling comes up. To change your mind into something more positive towards what you're trying to achieve, because you don't ever want that to grow like a poison.
Yeah.
That's what doubt is a poison. So you always want to extinguish that real quick.
Were you worried how the fans would react to the match and the outcome?
No, that's another doubt. When you're thinking like that. So that's out the, I got a job. My job is to attack, and that's it. I don't any other thought that might, hinder my path.
All right, and now, what are your goals after that now? We didn't see you at Kingdom, so what are your goals currently, after participating in the G1, participating in the World Tag League, winning multiple titles with your brother, winning the World Tag League with your brother? What else is there for you to do this year, 2022?
I think that's to be a singles competitor, and it's to climb that singles route, that ladder, and it starts off with the New Japan Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And then it leads from there. And then you got the summer, and then from there you got the G1 again. And I think that's my path now, is to be a singles competitor, is to prove that I was the best at tag team, and I'll be the best at singles. It's a constant growth. I feel like that's where I'm at.
Would you ever consider showing up to Strong at a point in all this to battle Tama?
I've shown up to Strong before. We started it last summer. But if that's, I'd rather Tom Lawler come out to Japan, if I have to, I'll go. But I'd rather them come out to Japan, because that's the main battlefield,
Yeah, true. And is there any arenas you want to come back to? COVID was actually, wait, before we get that, how were you during COVID? I'm sorry, that's actually a question I should ask you. What were you feeling when COVID happened? Where were you, financial, where were you, at everything at that point?
I was at home enjoying my life with my kids and my wife. We had a daughter on the first day of the COVID shutdown. So, thank goodness. Yeah, it was a blessing. I was here to help her out, and take care of our newborn, and be there with my other son, So, and really, it was maybe some people looked at it bad, or they were going crazy in their house, but I really found that time to be very
therapeutic, relaxing.
Therapeutic, yeah. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Staying home. Financially, I was fine, because we saved, and if anything was going to happen, I'm always hustling, trying to figure out some things, but I really enjoyed that time. Yeah. I always try to look at the positive of situations, and to me, that was a positive.
Yeah, dude, same here, man. The podcast was created during COVID, during the time.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of blessings, in disguise. Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about arenas. Now that life is getting back to normal, now that slowly, where do you want to wrestle? Where are some places you want to wrestle or come back to?
When I first started wrestling, I was asked that question, and I said Tokyo Dome, and I said Madison Square Garden. And I knocked those two out already. So I haven't thought much of what my next two stadiums I would like to be. I think, why not? The next one, I want it here in Orlando. Not here, but over there in Orlando. Orlando, Florida. I want that. It's still the Amway Arena.
Mm-hmm.
That's my next one, because I grew up in Orlando, so it'll be nice to come back home and, kind of bring that back to where you started.
All right.
I don't know my other one it would be.
Well, when you get there, you'll tweet it out, and maybe it'll come out, So let's talk about, what's going on with your social media wise. You started Tama's Island. That was, an awesome podcast since all the time.
Yeah.
Where did that come up? When did you realize, after doing wrestling, being a father, all this, I got time, just sit down and talk to the people?
Yeah, that's what it is. I got time, because it was the, we were in the COVID shutdown, and I needed something to do at home. And I had created, we were going to have this block party. We had one in 2019. and up in New York, and it was a hit. And so we were going to create another one in Tampa because WrestleMania was going to be there in 2020. But due to the COVID situation, everything was shut down. So we refunded everybody. But then some people just, they were supporting what I was doing, and I just felt like if I didn't give something back to them, I feel like I'd be robbing them. So the podcast became my way of communicating to everyone, and also the Patreon was like way I could like interact with everybody that was supporting the vision. So that's how really it got started. It was just because of the fans. So yeah, that.
How has it been like, recording a podcast and just figuring out new things? Because I don't know if you were a tech guy at the time. I didn't know if, you knew. Because for me personally, I wasn't. I had to learn all this stuff. So how was the process for you?
Yeah, it at the beginning, I didn't know anything. It was guys that was helping with the block parties that got me onto it. And then we just been kind of rolling. It's been 2 years already, and it's getting easier, and I'm learning the back mechanics of it, behind the scenes. Though it was, before I had a lot of time, but then the G1 and, the World Tag League, and I'm traveling in Japan, and the time difference, and it becomes a lot more difficult to line up our, time, because sometimes it's like 6 a.m. over there, and it's 7 at night over here, or the opposite, whatever it is. So there's a big 13-hour difference, and that has been really the obstacle of trying to get aligned with, the other co-host, Ross Berman. And so it's getting better, it's getting better. My long-ass answer for that, it's getting better.
All right, so that means it'll be new episodes come soon, right? Everything's coming
yes.
together. All right, yes. I was hoping to hear something like that. All right. So let me leave you off with 2 questions. I've already taken way too much time out of your day. Let me leave you off with 2 questions, and I know you probably hate these, but now 22 is here. Who are 3 singles competitors you want to face in 2022? It could be guys, in New Japan, obviously, that you've faced multiple times. Or if you want to make it fun, it could be anybody from any company. They can come to you. You don't have to go to them. But who do you want to face?
3? How many guys?
3 guys. And then I'll ask you the same thing for tag team. So if you want to...
Okay, the 3 guys would be, one would be Carl Anderson, Shingo, and from another company, I don't.
It could be anybody that comes to you.
I think Osprey.
Okay.
That's really kind of like my style right now. Is a fast-paced, real athletic movement, and I feel like Osprey and Shingo would put me in that route and really push me to get moving. And Carl Anderson's style is a mix of classic, and he's got this. He's real good, man. That's where I learned a lot of my single stuff from the beginning, was watching him. He's real smooth, and I think I want to go against him just to see where I'm at with that, and really, kick his ass.
How did that whole feud start? If it doesn't take up too much time to answer, how does that whole feud start? Where did this happen?
They came back calling themselves Bullet Club while we're Bullet Club in Japan, and that pissed me off.
Wait, so now I have to ask this, because I actually didn't know that. When WWE did that with the OG or OC, you guys were OC, they were OG, if I'm not wrong, or were you? I forgot what it was.
No, we were the OGs, but they called, they were the OC, they were the club, they had a few names, and it never bothered me. It never bothered me. I thought it was funny when they came back and they, I thought they were going to come back and we were going to figure out some stuff here to come back to Japan, but obviously the pandemic. So I thought it was funny to, when they started their stuff, was to poke fun of it and see what we can do with it. You know, we kept throwing them damn alley-oops, but nobody was dunking it.
All right. Well, again, time will tell what happens with that. So, last question is the 3 tag teams. Any tag team. Now, again, it doesn't have to be New Japan related, but I would love to see some guys show up to you at this point from any company. So, who would you want to face? This is your question, not my question. Who would you want to face in tag teams?
I think FTR.
You and your brother already showed that you guys are one of the greatest tag teams. Other people are calling themselves that. And who do you got to show off and show up and teach a lesson at that point?
I think the first one will be FTR. I think they're real solid, and you know, I think we would mesh really well. Maybe the what's that? The Puerto Ricans from New York. I want to call them Santana
and Ortiz.
Yeah. What are they? The Pride.
Yeah, Proud and Powerful.
Pride and Powerful. Yes. So I watch their stuff and I like a lot of their stuff. I think we can do some cool stuff.
One more. You got one more.
All right. But your one more started about 20, 30 minutes ago. I'm kidding. Go ahead. You're good.
No. You had one more tag team. You said FTR.
Oh. I thought you said you had one more question.
No, man. I already feel bad around you.
No, it's all good. One more tag team. Man. Whew. To be honest, I don't know. The Lucha Bros, they were up there, but I think one of them is hurt right now. Phoenix is hurt right now.
Yeah,
but definitely them. Lucha style. Then we can run something cool.
All right. Well, like you said, I've took your time way too much. Well, how do people follow you? How do people support you? Merch, Cameo. Where are you at in all platforms for people to book you and just do this pretty much?
I don't know. You're gonna have to come find me. I'll be hiding somewhere.
What about social media? People that don't know who you are, they live on the rock. How do they follow you on social media?
Tama Tonga Tama_Tonga on Twitter. The Good Bad Guy Tama Tonga on Instagram. Facebook, I'm just under Tama Tonga. Come check out Tama's Island at patreon.com/Tama's Island. Join our Patreon. We do weekly happy hours. We all get together, talk wrestling, and you get to chat with me. And, of course, check out our podcast, Tama's Island Podcast, on all your favorite podcast platforms.
And how people buy your merch, support you by wearing, a nice GOD t-shirt?
Right now, you guys can find me at prowrestlingtees.com/Tama Tonga. That's where I'm at right now. Or you can go to New Japan, NJPW, Tokan shop, and find my merch there too.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.